Hi everyone, this is a follow-up to the video on what we discovered on support groups for parents of estranged children. And you guys are amazing for doing this, by the way. There are some excellent questions here. So let's answer a few of them, shall we? Catherine Bauer 5358 asks, this sounds so horrible. This is one thing I wonder though. Abusive people do sometimes isolate their partners from their social network, as do cults. Yes, the toxic family can very much be compared to a cult. The dynamics are often identical. She says, but I guess this is a less common problem. Not really. Codependency, enmeshment, the godlike worshipping of a leader, and punishment or banishment if you don't, are common problems in toxic families, cults, gangs, and lots of other more socially acceptable organizations we see and hear from every day. All use exactly the same tactics to keep their members bonded and obedient. Have you come across parents that are estranged due to their children's abusive partners? Do they quickly notice that they are a minority amongst these rightful estranged parents and leave? First, yes, you're quite right. Isolation is absolutely one of the first things abusers do to strip their victims of their support systems. But let's just get this out of the way first. Children who are raised in healthy homes with secure attachments tend not to fall for abusive partners because they have all the self-worth they need not to. Children who are raised in abusive homes are raised to believe that they don't deserve any better, so they tend to repeat the cycle. But I'm not saying that healthy people never fall prey to abusive partners, so I did actually keep a lookout for this, which is why I'm glad you brought it up. What I did find was that whenever a parent seemed to genuinely have this problem, it all started sincerely enough to break your heart, but it wasn't long until it turned nasty. If you're new to this channel, I would say that at least half of the members attribute their estrangement to their kids' abusive partners. Let me give you an example. A parent accused her evil son-in-law of isolating and brainwashing not one, but two of her daughters. Like all these parents, she painted a picture of her daughters' idyllic childhoods until one day this evil man snatched both her daughters and locked them up without telling her where they were. It was heart-stopping. But it turns out both daughters had been taken away by Child Protective Services on more than one occasion. The eldest daughter had met and married this man, and with his help went and rescued her baby sister. Even though the group knew this, they agreed that whatever had happened to involve child services, this parent still did her best, and that her son-in-law and her daughters were evil and sick to do this to her. If I was still going to buy that any of these children were deliberately isolated or that their parents were heartbroken or even worried about it, the comments on all these stories just like these are what snapped me out of it. She is an adult and she made her bed. If she ever does leave him, she mustn't come knocking on my door. Exactly. How are we ever supposed to trust them again after what they've done? I mean, honestly, what are you supposed to discuss at the dinner table? Remember that time when you totally shunned me? Good times. Pass the sweet potatoes, asshole. Oops, that was harsh. I meant to say, please pass the sweet potatoes, asshole. She chose this man, and only she can decide when she's done hurting me. And my point is that even if these children had fallen prey to a sociopath, the fact that their parents would leave them to their fates, refuse to allow them back in, and if they escaped, would never forgive them for what they did to their poor parents, speaks volumes. If you have a look on support groups for estranged children, you will find post after post from women especially who managed to recover just enough from their parents' abuse to go on to meet and marry amazing men who are nothing but supportive and who tirelessly do everything they can to build up the confidence and self-worth that was shattered by their parents. I am one of them, and guess what? My parents hate my husband for it too. My guess as to why these parents would accuse perfectly wonderful partners of isolation and abuse, other than needing someone to blame, of course, is projection at its finest. Would our supportive partners isolate, abuse, and strip us of our support systems? Of course not. But would our parents? Absolutely. So yeah, in these cases, if anyone was trying to strip these children of their support systems, it was their own parents. As for parents noticing that they are in the minority and quickly leaving, well, this is where we get to see the real problem firsthand. Sometimes, rarely, but it does happen, a parent will pop up asking for advice on how to fix things with their children. They're usually not estranged as yet, and the parent reaches out for advice on what they can do to stop their estrangement in its tracks before it's too late. The difference between these parents and the other members is obvious from the very first post. First of all, they don't start with the whole usual, I don't know what I've done to deserve this act, which is their first mistake. Their second mistake is admitting that they're not estranged yet. And their final mistake, utterly unforgivable and earns them an immediate banishment, this would be mentioning the word reason, or worse, boundaries. The moment one of these words hits the page, the members smell it like blood in the water. Here are two I managed to save before they were deleted. Hi there. Please will you tell me the reasons for estrangement? And hi, can you please give me some examples of these boundaries my kids are talking about? And this is how it starts. Are you sure you're an estranged parent? Oh, sounds like we have a troll. We are not here to defend ourselves from more judgments of arseholes. We had enough of that from our kids. And the horrified parent then proceeds to explain that they're just looking for help, and the members circle closer. This is something a millennial would say. You have no right to come to a group that is so supportive and judge. You have no idea what these brats have put us through. If someone is here to stalk and criticize the parents and grandparents, then they fit the profile known as sociopath. Maybe you abused your kids, but we didn't. It comes down to making choices as an adult. This is their choice and we had nothing to do with it. So don't come here saying we can fix anything. It has nothing to do with us. Shame on you. You're on the wrong group. Leave now and go and complain to all the other pathetic entitled brats who also think that they are victims. They then move in for the kill by tagging all the admins, demanding that the traitor be banned for life. But before they do, they make a note of their names so that they can take their attacks to their DMs. And then they screenshot their post so that they can keep on harping about it long after the traitor has been removed from the group. The blindingly obvious difference between the parents who stay and the parents who leave is so simple. The solution to estrangement is not some impossibly harrowing quest for the golden fleece. It's not interventions or support groups or even therapy. It's accountability. More often than not, the adult children are not looking to rehash the past. You'd be amazed what we're able to forgive and move on from. We've been doing it for decades. They just want the abuse to stop. It's when their parents swear that nothing they do is abusive, rewrite history and play the victim, that their children realize the abuse is never going to stop and no contact becomes the only option. The parents who leave have acknowledged their parts in the impending estrangement, and then they've therefore chosen to stop whatever it was that they were doing to traumatize their kids and grandkids, so everyone has a shot at a healthier relationship. The parents who stay are either looking for ways to keep traumatizing their kids and grandkids, and when they can't, they look for ways to justify why it's impossible to reconcile. All right, next question. I wonder about the parents that hurt their children due to mental health issues or because they are subject to abuse by their spouses. They hurt their children, and so the children might distance themselves as adults, as they have every right to do so, but they were not necessarily as narcissistic and horrific as these comments sound. Would they still be so hurt or defensive that they write stuff like this? You would think that these parents would be a lot less defensive, but horrifyingly, it's these parents who are the most vitriolic of all. The ones who claim they had mental health issues fully believe that their children, often as young as toddlers, should have understood what they were going through. And if they made any mistakes, not that they did, it was their children's responsibility to sympathize. The fact that these children still don't appreciate how badly their parents suffered through their divorces, breakups, money, and mental issues is utterly unforgivable. And they all hope that these self-centered, ungrateful, unappreciated brats will suffer all of it too, so that they can learn firsthand what it's like to be punished for no reason. It's important to note here that none of these parents had gotten any help for these mental illnesses, but some of them did sign up for therapy to get over their horrible children. As for the parents who were abused by their spouses, I actually didn't add this to the original video because the research alone was sickening. These parents, usually the mothers, openly admit that the husbands or boyfriends who abused them also abused their children physically and or sexually. Some of them openly admit that their children begged them to leave. The sickening part, other than the obvious, is how they take zero responsibility for subjecting their children to any of it, and they all believe that their children are being abusive for trying to hold them accountable for something they never did. I'm not going to go into the details, but these quotes will give you a general idea. We weren't the ones who abused them. How do they think it's okay to cut us out when we did nothing wrong? I can't change the past. It's funny how my girls begged me to leave their dad when they were teens. Now they blame me for their abusive life, like it's my fault. I feel like I'm living in another dimension. How can they still be so upset about things that happened years ago? It's time everyone grows up and stops living in the past. And they never complained then, so what are we supposed to do about it now? Before I go, I'd just like to circle back to the parents who think that asking for reasons or examples of boundaries is an offense that should be punishable by death. The paranoia that spawns these threads is palpable. My question is, if these parents were so proud of what they were doing, why are they so paranoid about getting caught? Right, I hope this answers your questions. Please keep them coming, and please join my Patreon where you can chat to me and see more of my work. Patreon.com/Kirsten Alberts. The link is in the description. See you soon.